Hey guys, how you doing? Today I'm gonna be doing my worst and best books of 2017. I know I should have done this like a month ago or in December, but it's better late than never. So I have 4 books on my list for my worst books 2017. I have 10 on my list for my best books, so without further ado, let's jump right in. Starting off with my worst books of 2017, I'm going to start with Milk and Honey by Ruby Kaur. This book does have a trigger warning of rape, so if you want to read this book, please go in this book with caution. I've read Milk and Honey close to the end of December, and I wasn't really emotionally engaged in the story, and it's a good book to keep the conversation going and spread awareness, but I do not give this book a ranking because I don't know how to rank it, because I feel like it would be disrespectful. Like, I know people have loved the story and they heavily relate to it. It's just wasn't my cup of tea. Number 3 on my list is Heart of Betrayal by Mary E. Pearson. This book was just basically a filler book, and it suffered the second book syndrome. The only thing I liked about this story was the political interactions with the commissar and the princess and the backstories we get with other characters. But other than that, this book was boring and basically nothing happened. The second book on this list is The Forbidden Throne by Jeff Wheeler. Where do I begin with this? This book was such a horrible conclusion to the King Fountain series. It was so bad. I hated the villain. She was the kind of villains that is like, I don't know, if I can't have it, no one can kind of villain, and I don't like those kinds of villains at all. It's just very stereotypical. And we did have a crossover between the author's other worlds called Mirrorwood, and that has 10 books in that universe, and I really don't have time to commit to 10 books to understand what the hell is going on. For those of you who don't know what the King Fountain series is about, it's kind of like a 2-part series with The Forbidden Throne. This is the second part of the series, and it follows a character that is based off Lancelot, but at a gender bender twist, who is female. This series had so much potential, and it was poorly executed historical fiction. It was so bad. Like, I don't know how to explain my hatred for this series in general. Read the first 3 books and the prequel series. You'll thank me later. Just don't read the last part of the series. Please don't do it. And my most hated book of 2017 is The Secret of the Spell Shadow Manor by Bella Forrest. Where do I begin? Basically, this story is about a boy named Alex who is a caretaker for his mother. He's a senior in high school. He takes in a foreign exchange student from France, and they end up in this magical manor called The Secret of the Spell Shadow Manor, where basically nothing ever happens or is explained. The author basically compared her series to Harry Potter, which is a massive insult to me because there was literally no development in this story whatsoever. Nothing about the magic system, nothing about the character, the school, nada. There wasn't even a basic location to this manor. They basically travel for the globe, taking away magical kids into the manor, and that's it. That's all. And it wasted 5 days of my life reading these piece of trash. If you don't want to waste your time or lose part of your soul or lose any brain cells like I did, pick up this book. Moving on to my favorite books of 2017, the first book, which is in the number 10 spot, is Keeper by Kim Chance. This story is about a girl who is attacked by a 200-year-old witch, and she is confused and wants to find a logical explanation on what happened to her that night. So eventually she consults a seer and finds out that she is a keeper. A keeper is a type of witch who is in charge of guarding and protecting this powerful book called the Grimoire. Unfortunately, the book has been stolen by an evil warlock, and with her comic-loving best friend and a handsome street fighter, Lindsay must find a way to get the Grimoire back. This was a really good book. It brought back a lot of nostalgic feelings when I first started reading books, back when I was like 13 or 14 years old, like reading Hush Hush and Beautiful Creatures and stuff like that. And I thought the romance was gonna be really bad, but it's very rated G type of romance, so I was grateful for that. If you want to hear my full thoughts on this book, I will have my review up on the screen and down in the description below. Coming in at number 9 is A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas. You guys know how much I love this trilogy in general. I thought I was never going to like this trilogy because of the Throne of Glass issue, but I really did love this story. I basically marathoned this entire trilogy up to ACOWAR, but ACOMAF was definitely the best book in the trilogy. I loved the characters, I loved the slow burning romance. It was such a well-developed story. I honestly wished ACOMAF was the first book in the series and it would have just been a duology, so we didn't have to deal with Templin's bullshit. I'm just saying. The 8th book on my list is The Maiden's War by Jeff Wheeler. This is a prequel story to the King Fountain series, and I found this book more appealing than the last part of the trilogy, and because of the character we follow, and then is Antoinette, and I loved her in the Queen's Poisoners so much, and I love that we got to see her backstory on this. That's basically all I can say about this book without spoiling the first part of the King Fountain series to you guys if you actually are willing to give it a chance. The 7th book on my list is Trials of Apollo, The Dark Prophecy by Rick Riordan. I'm sure most of you guys would have thought that one of Rick Riordan's books would probably be the number 1 on this list, but you were wrong. This is the 2nd book in the Trials of Apollo series. There's not much I can tell you guys without spoiling it. So basically the series is about Apollo, who is punished and cast on her and turned into a 62-year-old human, and he must go through a series of trials in order to reclaim his place back on Olympus. If you guys have read this book and want to know more about my initial thoughts, I do have a book talk on this, and I will leave on the screen and I will leave down in the description below. Coming in at number 6 is Magnus Chase and the Sword of Summer by Rick Riordan. This series is a trilogy following Norse mythology. This book follows a 16-year-old boy named Magnus who has been homeless for the past 2 years, and one day he finds out that his father is a Norse god. It was very interesting to learn more about Norse mythology because the only source of Norse mythology I have absorbed is from the Marvel movies, and I know that's not an accurate representation of Norse mythology, but that's the only thing I was exposed to growing up. And all we learned about in school was Greek mythology, and I wish we learned more about other mythologies like Norse as well, but no, we just focused on Greek mythology. Number 5 on my list is Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo, which is the 2nd book in the Six of Crows duology. I really don't have to explain too much about this duology anyway, because it's a very popular book in the book community, and you guys know how obsessed I am of Leigh Bardugo, so I really don't need to explain. Number 4 on my list is Language of Thorns by Leigh Bardugo. This book is a collection of short fairy tales that basically are characters from the Grisha universe were told growing up. I think my favorite one out of all these stories was The Little Knife. I loved that one, especially the illustrations are so beautiful. I can't show them to you guys because for those of you who haven't read it, I might be spoiling you. So I really don't want to do that, but I will show you the cover. Look at how pretty that is. It's so pretty. Number 3 on my list is Eliza and Her Monsters by Francesca Zapata. It's about a girl named Eliza who writes anonymously a very popular webcomic. When one day a boy transfers to a school who is a fan fiction writer of her story. When Eliza's identity as the webcomic author is exposed, her life basically starts falling apart. The story has a representation of social anxiety and suicide, so trigger warnings for that, and it's very well executed. I found Eliza very relatable in this book, and I started crying throughout the book because either I was getting angry or I was basically a mess in tears, and it's such a fantastic book. Second book on my list is Lightning Struck Heart by TJ Klune. This book is an adult romance, and it's nothing to really take seriously. The main focus is just to make you laugh, and it did so very well. It has a lot of sassy characters, and it's not a book for someone who easily gets offended. And my favorite book of 2017 is The Hate U Give by Angie Thomas. This book was so emotional, it was so fantastic, and it really opened my eyes to Black Lives Matter and police brutality. I basically cried several times while I was reading this book because it's not just fiction, it's a very real situation, especially in the US, and I'm sorry that I started crying in front of the camera, you guys. I'm really sorry about that, and I know that racism and the police violence isn't gonna go away in the blink of an eye, but this book really opened my eyes to these situations that's going on here in this country, and it's very disappointing to see this happen every single day. And I'm glad Angie wrote this book. I've been privileged my entire life, and this really opened my eyes to the situations that's been going on, and Angie, if you're watching this, I appreciate that you wrote this book. And I'm glad that you made the list so many times, and I can't wait to see the movie, even though I'm gonna be bawling my eyes out. So that is it for my worst and best books of 2017. You should guys let me know below what your worst and favorite book was of 2017, and I apologize for Ken for bursting out in tears while filming on camera. I didn't know I was gonna cry like that, but that's what Hate U Give makes me feel, and like I said, I'm grateful that this book actually exists. So if you like this video, be sure to leave a comment, like, and subscribe, and I will see you guys very, very soon. Bye.